Donald Trump is the most divisive president we've seen in my lifetime. Today he's out there on Twitter saying he can pardon himself. He's disinviting the NFL Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles from coming to the White House. The Super Bowl is supposed to be something that unites us, but the people who wanted to come, he still is disinviting them from coming. This is characteristic of a man who he thinks he is an autocrat, a king, a dictator.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
Just like the things he says about women and like the racism.
Like what?
He's very homophobic and he's racist and he's just fear-mongering.
Called the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest.
We need to know, are we about to put somebody on the United States Supreme Court who committed a sexual assault?
And then you merchandise it.
He does not support other races.
To force a president to adhere to the rule of law has grown beyond our control, so that now we are routinely using criminal accusations and scandal to win the political battles and ideological differences we cannot settle at the ballot box. It has been used with reckless abandon by both parties, Democrats and Republicans. And we are now at a point where we deeply risk, wounding the nation we all love. His plan to prevent House managers from calling witnesses to prove their case is a dramatic break from precedent. We heard a lot about precedent from the leader.
After McConnell said just days ago he's not an impartial juror. Yet at the height of the Clinton impeachment saga, then newly elected Senator Schumer said this on CNN.
This is not a criminal trial, but this is something that the Founding Fathers decided to put in a body that was susceptible to the whims of politics. And also, it's not like a jury box in the sense that people will call us and lobby us. You don't have jurors called and lobbied and things like that. I mean, it's quite different than a jury. And also, it's not like a jury box in the sense that people will call us and lobby us. You don't have jurors called and lobbied and things like that. I mean, it's quite different than a jury.
It's a sad day because nobody comes to Congress to impeach a president of the United States. No one. We come here to do the work, make the future better for our children, for America's future.
We're gonna go in there, we're gonna impeach the mother.
It's a sad day because nobody comes to Congress to impeach a president of the United States.
We're gonna go in there, we're gonna impeach the mother.
We went back to a redo of Mr. Mueller. We're also quoting him saying the attention of the American people should be on foreign interference. I agree with him completely, except I guess the American people did not include the Judiciary Committee because we didn't take it up. We didn't have hearings. We didn't do anything to delve deeply into this issue. We passed election bills, but did not get into the in-depth part of what Mr. Mueller talked about, taking his own report and having hearings about that. We didn't do it. So I guess the American people doesn't include the House Judiciary Committee. We also talked about the founders. What's interesting is that the chairman talked a lot about the founders from the quotes, and again, this is why we have the hearing, about the founders being concerned about foreign influence, but what he also didn't quote was the founders being really, really concerned about political impeachment. Because you just don't like the guy. You haven't liked him since November of 2016. The chairman has talked about impeachment since last year when he was elected chairman, 2 years ago, November 6th, 17th, before he's even sworn in as chairman. So don't tell me this is about new evidence and new things and new stuff. We may have a new hearing room, we may have new mics, and we may have chairs. But if you want to know what's really driving this, there's two things. It's called the clock and the calendar. The clock and the calendar. Most people in life, if you want to know what they truly value, you look at their checkbook and their calendar. You know what they value. That's what this committee values. Time. They want to do it before the end of the year. Why? Because the chairman said it just a second ago. Because we're scared of the elections next year. We're scared of the elections that we'll lose again. So we've got to do this now. The clock and the calendar are what's driving impeachment, not the facts.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Gates.
The will of the American people also elected Donald Trump to be the president of the United States in the 2016 election, and there's one party that can't seem to get over it. Now, we understand the fact that in 2018 you took the House of Representatives, and we haven't spent our time during your tenure in power trying to remove the Speaker of the House, trying to delegitimize your ability to govern. Frankly, we'd love to govern with you. We'd love to pass USMCA. We'd love to put out a helping hand to our seniors and lower prescription drug prices. It's the will of the people you ignore when you continue down this terrible road of impeachment. Professor Gerhardt, you gave money to Barack Obama, right?
My family did, yes.
4 times?
That sounds about right. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a series of unanimous consent requests relating to Professor Feldman's work. The first, Noah Feldman, Trump's wiretap tweets raise risk of impeachment.
Gentleman will suspend.
My time.
We'll take that time off. Has the gentleman submitted? Have we seen those? That material?
We can provide it to you, as is typical for unanimous.
And we'll consider the unanimous consent request later after we review the material.
Very well. Thank you.
The gentleman may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Feldman wrote articles entitled, "Trump's Wiretap Tweets Raise Risk of Impeachment." He then wrote, "Mar-a-Lago ad belongs in impeachment file." And then Mr. Jake Flanagan wrote in Quartz, a Harvard law professor thinks Trump could be impeached over fake news accusations. My question, Professor Feldman, is since you seem to believe that the basis for impeachment is even broader than the basis that my Democrat colleagues have laid forward, do you believe you're outside of the political mainstream on the question of impeachment?
I believe that impeachment is warranted whenever the president abuses his power for personal benefit or to corrupt the democratic process.
Did you write an article entitled "It's Hard to Take Impeachment Seriously Now"?
Yes, I did write that
article. And in that article, did you write, hold on, I'm limited on time.
So did you
write, since the 2018 midterm election, House Democrats have made it painfully clear that discussing impeachment is primarily or even exclusively a tool to weaken President Trump's chances in 2020. Did you write those words?
Until this call on July 25th, I was an impeachment skeptic. It all changed my mind, sir, and for
Thank you. I appreciate your testimony. Professor Carlin, you gave $2,000, or you gave $1,000 to Elizabeth Warren, right?
I believe so.
You gave $1,200 to Barack Obama?
I have no reason to question that.
And you gave $2,000 to Hillary Clinton?
That's correct.
Why so much more for Hillary than the other two?
Because I've been giving a lot of money to charity recently because of all of the poor people in the United States.
Well, those aren't the only folks you've been given to. Now, have you ever been on a podcast called Versus Trump?
I think I was on a live panel that the people who ran the podcast called Versus Trump.
On that, do you remember saying the following? Liberals tend to cluster more. Conservatives, especially very conservative people, tend to spread out more. Perhaps because they don't even want to be around themselves. Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
Do you understand how that reflects contempt on people who are conservative?
No, what I was talking about there was the natural tendency, if you put the quote in context, the natural tendency of a compactness requirement to favor a party whose voters are more spread out.
Well,
and I do
Professor,
not have contempt
hold on.
for
I'm
conservatives.
very limited on time, Professor. And so I just have to say, when you talk about how liberals want to be around each other and cluster, and conservatives don't want to be around each other, and so they have to spread out, it makes people, you may not see this from, like the ivory towers of your law school, but it makes actual people in this country feel like, excuse me, you don't get to interrupt me on this time. Now, let me also suggest that when you invoke the president's son's name here, when you try to make a little joke out of referencing Barron Trump, that does not lend credibility to your argument. It makes you look mean. It makes you look like you're attacking someone's family, the minor child of the President of the United States. So let's see if we can get into the facts. To all of the witnesses, if you have personal knowledge of a single material fact in the Schiff report, please raise your hand. And let the record reflect no personal knowledge of a single fact. And you know what? That continues on the tradition that we saw from Adam Schiff, where Ambassador Taylor could not identify an impeachable offense. Mr. Kent never met with the president. Fiona Hill never heard the president reference anything regarding military aid. Mr. Hale was unaware of any nefarious activity with aid. Colonel Vindman even rejected the new Democrat talking point that bribery was invoked here. Ambassador Volker denied that there was a quid pro quo, and Mr. Morrison said there was nothing wrong on the call. The only direct evidence came from Gordon Sondland, who spoke to the President of the United States, and the President said, "I want nothing. No quid pro quo." And you know what? If wiretapping a political opponent's an impeachable offense, I look forward to looking at Inspector General's report, because maybe it's a different president we should be impeaching.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I had no idea there was even going to be a protest. First of all, it was like a male feminist came and stomped on my hand. I was trying to get your hat because he threw your hat.
He took my hat right off my... Oh my... Hey! Oh my...
It's burning really bad,
Oh my God.
actually. It's burning so bad.
Oh my
my God. What the is it on my
Babe.
face? I figured out what it is on my face,
Babe.
Joey.